Hello everyone and welcome. This is Lisa. Thanks for joining me for another tutorial today. We're going to be making a bridge card today, which has sort of been around for a while, but these are a lot of fun to make and they're very pretty and dimensional. The great thing about them is they fold flat into a regular A2 envelope. Now I'm going to be using the winter woods and the coordinating dies. I'm going to be using the trees and this piece for the snowbank. This is in the 2018 holiday catalog. It is offered as a bundle and you save 10%. We're also using Dashing Deer and the coordinating framelits for that as well. And we're going to be using this little guy along with these two sentiments. And this is offered in a bundle as well to save 10%. Okay, this is our piece of cardstock here that we're going to begin. This is the main part of our card. It measures 8 inches by 4 1/4 inches. We're going to score at 1 1/4 inch, at the 2 1/2 inch mark, at the 5 1/2 inch mark, and then we're going to score at the 6 3/4. And I'm going to bring the Stampin' Trimmer up so that you can see where that is as soon as I get it in the camera. It's right there. Sometimes that where the arm bends, it confuses people on the measurements, and I just wanted you to know that that's where that is. And that mark directly in the center of the arm is the 6 1/2 inch mark. So hopefully that clarifies that if you were confused about that at all. Okay, so we have our main card base and we're going to bring in our bone folder and burnish it. Now the two outside pieces are going to be the front pieces that stick out first. So we're going to do sort of a mountain valley fold here on the one side, and then we're going to flip it on the other side and do the same thing. So that when we're done and we stand our card up, it looks like this. We're going to be doing all of the decorating and everything before we put the bridge part together. And I just wanted to give you a little tip about die cutting with foil. It's okay if your bottom piece is used, your bottom acrylic sheet is used, but try if you can to use a clean acrylic plate on the top. That'll save you from having dents and scratches in your cutout piece there. As you can see, it's nice and smooth. Next, I'm going to bring in this sparkle paper, and we're going to cut out 3 of the trees from that wood set. And then I'm going to be speeding up the video quite a bit because I'm basically just going to be layering the designer series paper and everything. So I've cut that out and I'm bringing back in our card base, and we have 4 pieces of 1 inch by 4 inches. Those are our designer series paper, and then the center part is 2 3/4 by 4 inches, and we're just going to attach that with some snail adhesive. Going ahead and putting them all on each side. Then we'll add our center piece and then begin to create our scene. This paper is absolutely lovely. I think it is my favorite in the entire catalog. Okay, so now I've taken our little snowbank there that's cut out of the sparkle paper, and I'm putting that down. And I'm bringing in my silicone mat to add the adhesive to the trees because the adhesive doesn't stick to the mat. And then you can put your piece on and then just rub away the excess adhesive. So I'm just adding my trees here, just sort of randomly. I didn't really have it planned out. I just am sticking them on there. Just be sure that this center part, it does not go past the score line. Okay, now I'm going to add our little deer here, and I'm going to be using some many dimensionals. And that tool that I'm using is your Take a Pick tool, which is extremely handy, and it works really well for, especially with these small dimensionals, to pull that paper off. And so I'm just going to add him to the card. Excuse my voice, it's allergy season. By next month I should have it back to normal. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and emboss our sentiment for the front. And this is a very small piece of cardstock that I have here. And I will have to look and give you the measurements. All the measurements for everything that I'm doing here will be on my blog. So I'm bringing in that sentiment there that says happiest Christmas wishes from the Dashing Deer set. And excuse me for pulling it close to me, but I can't see to stamp it without doing that. And I apologize for that. So we're using the copper embossing powder, which is beautiful. And I'm grabbing it there with some little tweezers just to hold on to it, so I don't get fingerprints on there. And as you can see, even though I did use the embossing buddy, this does sometimes happen. What happened was that I got Versamark on the edge of my stamp when I stamped this down. So when that happens, it's easily fixed. You just take a small dry brush and brush away the embossing powder that you don't want. And you will never be able to tell that anything has ever been wrong. Okay, and I took those tweezers off just to make sure that there wasn't any embossing powder underneath them. Be sure you close your lid to your embossing powder so that it doesn't fly all over your craft room. Believe me, it's happened. So now I've brought in my heat tool and I'm just melting the embossing powder here. The reason I'm using that cutting board is because this is such a small piece and I didn't want it flying all over my paper and scorching my grid paper underneath. Okay, so now we're going to stamp the sentiment from the back for the back of the card. And it reads, "Remembering you this season with warm thoughts and a wish for everything merry." Isn't that sweet? And we're just going to layer it onto this piece of Tranquil Tide that is 2 3/4 by 4 inches. The piece with the sentiment on it is 2 1/2 by 3 3/4 inches. And we're just going to put that on the back. Now where those folds are, you could have cut 8 pieces of the 1 inch by 4 inch Designer Series paper and layered that on the back if you wanted. Honestly, I just didn't think of doing that when I made this card, so I probably would do that next time. Okay, so here's our piece, our bridge piece, and it measures 1 inch by 5 1/2 inches. And this is our Designer Series paper that's going to go across, and it measures 7/8 inch by 5 1/2 inches. And I'm just going to center it on the middle of that, in the middle of that bridge there. For lack of a better word, we'll just call it the bridge. And I'm just checking to make sure that it's lined up correctly. Now I'm going to go ahead and pop our sentiment up on some dimensionals. And I'm just using regular size dimensionals for this. And I want to be sure to add this directly in the center. That is not something that you have to do. You can put your sentiment or whatever you want to put on that bridge. You can put it anywhere. I just chose to put my sentiment in the center. So I'm just carefully placing it and making sure that it is in the center before I push it down. Okay, now we're going to add this, and this is the thing that makes this truly a bridge card. Just reinforce those folds there, like I just did. And you're going to put adhesive only up to the score line on the first two or first outer parts. I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. So I'm bringing in my adhesive and I'm only bringing up to the end of that first score line. And I'm attaching the end of the bridge there. And then I'll do the same on the other side. I'll pull that over just like I'm going to when I close it. I'm adding the adhesive and then attaching the other side of the bridge there. I slowed it down a little so you could see what I was doing. And then just making sure that that's lined up evenly with both pieces on the card. And there it is, folks. There's our card. I think it's lovely and dimensional, and I think anybody would be excited to get it. It folds flat, fits into an A2 card. You have a place to put your sentiment and do further decorating if you want. You can do just about anything with this. So if you live in the US and don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to earn your business. All of my contact information is over on my blog, along with measurements and more information about this project. I appreciate you hanging out with me, and I hope you have a wonderful day and happy crafting.